Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to tonight's live stream on Chris at Speaker's Corner. Today, we have a special kind of challenge to people at DawahWise, particularly Mansur, because Mansur has been making a bit of a noise. He's been going at Speaker's Corner and has been challenging basically anybody, mostly Christians, but not anyone from the Christian debate team. A very particular question that he's phrasing he's phrasing it as the following. He's saying Christians are the people who believe in the baby killing religion, as he puts it, and that this is something that Christians have, and it is not something in Islam. He's trying to contrast the religions, not just Christianity and Islam, but also Judaism. And he's saying which religion has the baby killing, or is the baby killing religion? That's Mansur's question. So I'm going to start this stream off by just going through a little bit of video to show you the kind of thing that Mansur's been saying at Speaker's Corner the last few weeks. And then we'll jump into a presentation where I give some points addressing that. And possibly we'll let some people up to have some dialogue later on. And we'll take it from there. So let's see.
By their thousands, and you are people protecting this value. It's okay to kill babies and children.
Hamas kill babies and children.
If you keep it in testing, the police will be against you again. So,
No, your boy hit me, that's why.
there is
Hamas kill babies.
Here is a simple question. Is it because there is a religion?
Hamas can kill babies, but nobody else can, huh?
This religion commands to kill babies. Could not be why they are saying it's okay to kill babies.
Your Quran says kill the disbeliever wherever you find them.
Talk
No,
about
the Quran says that.
Just one thing real quick. He seems to be saying that Christians are advocating for killing babies. I'm not sure if I understood that right, but just hearing what he said there, which is weird. I'm not actually sure, in all honesty, I know where he's going. I know what kind of argument he's going to try and make. But either he isn't aware of how far that argument goes and is overextending, or he's just talking out of his rear end. Which maybe he's talking out his rear end. Maybe that explains why he's trying to say that Christians believe in baby killing. Who knows?
The Quran says that. The Quran says that. I'll show you. Oh, well, he can join you.
Ask a specific question. This is going to be one question only.
I want to.
Which religious scripture?
Are the babies Muslims?
The Bible?
Yeah, the babies are Muslims.
Just to jump in here as well. Notice he's talking to the whole crowd. He's not, he's going to make it look like he's just having a nice civil conversation with Smile to Jahannam next to him. But in reality, he's proclaiming this to everyone. He's being very theatrical. You know, he's talking with his hands and he's aiming this at anyone who will hear him. It's not a nice little polite conversation.
Quran,
You can kill it.
Gita, you name
Those
it.
who don't believe.
Which religious scripture? The God of that scripture commands to kill suckling infants. Because there is a religion which commands that.
I'm going to be jumping in a lot here because I have so much to say about the kind of stuff that Mansur's speaking. You know how he said, which religion commands the killing of suckling infants? There's a reason he says it that way, and that's because he never used to say it that way. I don't know if it was like last week or the week prior, but I spoke to him. And when I did, I confronted him on this because he was trying to proclaim to the audience. And he was saying, which religion commands the killing of infants? And I called him out on this. And so to try and defend his position a bit better, he added a new word, which was suckling infants. And we're going to learn why he did that later on in the video. Long story short, it's because the killing of infants is mentioned in the Quran, or at least children before they reach the age of accountability. So he thought we could get out of this by saying, oh, well, okay, maybe suckling infants then. which was his big, clever idea.
So we want to have a discussion to establish that maybe because of that command in that religion. So let's identify what that religion is. So the question is very specific. Very specific question. Which God of a religious scripture? The Bible, the Quran, the Vedas, Gita, which God of that religion commands to kill suckling infants? So what are you talking about? So now, is it in the Bible? What's the answer?
Yes.
Bible. Yes. Is it the Torah? Is it in the Bible?
The Quran tells you to go to the Bible. The Quran
It says kill the disbelievers wherever you find them.
Why?
It says kill the disbelievers wherever you find them.
The question is why?
It says kill the disbelievers wherever you find them. Hamas kill babies. Hamas kill babies. Hamas kill babies.
Listen, why did God do that? Listen, you know the reason why.
So he's proclaiming this big question. He thinks that is a big gotcha moment for Christians. But then all of the Christians that are there immediately start answering him. And his response is basically just to ignore them. He's not going to acknowledge this. He's not going to address this. He's not going to do anything. He's just going to ignore it because he knows if he engages in that question, he's going to have a ton of very well-informed answers that are going to make him look very foolish for trying to phrase this very polemical question, when in reality, it's a whole lot of nothingness. In fact, in all honesty, it actually just shows Islam in a much worse light. And the fact that he's doing this is drawing attention from people like me and people like all the Christians there to start talking to him about, actually, okay, let's answer this question seriously. Let's take it from a very sincere point of view and ask ourselves, if there is a religion that talks about allowing or encouraging the killing of children, which religion would that religion be? That is a very awkward question for Mansur. That is a very awkward question. And we're going to see why tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
And religious scripture, you are lying. Which commands they were killing children, suckling, and God said to
why did Hamas kill the Jewish babies?
We have to kill suckling infants.
Why did Hamas do that? Why does the Quran say kill the disbelievers wherever you find them? Why does the Quran say kill the disbelievers wherever you find them? Why does the Quran say kill the disbelievers wherever you find them?
Want to kill them all the nations teaching that comes from the religion. No, stop and prevent what's going on. Babies in Palestine. You say your will of God was God wrong.
Hamas killed babies. It's okay for Hamas to do it. They did it. It's a lie. Yeah, put him on camera. He says it's a lie.
What's gone wrong? Well, the question do you find a command from God in the Quran to say, go and kill
disbelievers wherever you find them? Where in the Quran did it say kill them?
Do you find a command from God in the Quran where Allah says to go and kill? And then Jude, the Christian brother who's at the front of in this video, just jumps in and finishes with, fight those, kill the disbelievers, fight those who do not believe in Allah nor the last day. Oh, wow. Okay. It's a very strange predicament that Mansur is putting himself in here by just opening Islam to all his own goals by mentioning this. I find it so bizarre that this is the thing he's going with. Of all the different avenues, you know, he could have gone with the Trinity, he could have gone with all these typical Islam talking points, but no. He's decided he's going to make the hill he dies on, which religion is the baby-killing religion. Ignore all the verses. Ignore all the verses in the Quran that specifically talk about telling believers, i.e. Muslims in this context, to go out and to kill disbelievers, polytheists, people of whom reject Allah and His Messenger. Ignore all those verses. We're totally going to skim past those and just look at the Bible, and hopefully you'll come to the conclusion it's Christianity. He's really banking on that, ladies and gentlemen.
Wherever you find them.
Does it say kill suckling infants?
It says kill the disbelievers. That could be infant. When God flooded the earth, when God flooded the earth, he did not kill everything. Your statement is misinformation. When God flooded the earth, he did not kill everything.
Can we just come to one side?
They're gonna run. Look how the cowards run. Look how the cowards run. Look how the cowards run. Defend your faith. Defend your faith. Defend your faith. Coward. 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 Look at Dawah Dash.
I absolutely love Steve here. You have Steve the Atheist, who's a longtime member of Speaker's Corner, who I believe is now a supporter, a member, or a candidate for the Reform Party. But he's interesting because you just heard him there come on and say, oh, look how times have changed. Look at how the Muslims feel like they don't have the ability to confront Christians and to drive them out of the park through intellectual debate, but rather they are giving reasons and trying to be very subtle about the fact that they are having to do hit and run, make some bizarre claim. When every Christian calls you out on it, don't engage with that Christian because that wouldn't work out too well, but run in the opposite direction. And they do this thing. I don't know if you notice. So Mansur is obviously addressing a crowd, right? I mean, he's even looking at the camera that's recording him. He's being all theatrical. He's saying all this stuff. He's obviously not having a private conversation. But then as soon as he gets feedback, he gets all this pushback from Christians who know the answer to this, or many answers to this, because there's a ton that can be said. He just goes, okay, well, I'm just going to turn over here and pretend that I've always been talking to small to Jahannam, and hopefully everyone won't notice what I've just done. Very disingenuous from Mansur here. But of course, if you're part of a religion where you have to support someone like Muhammad as your greatest moral example, how can you defend that intellectually? It's clear to everyone in the West and also in the East now that that's not possible. So Mansur doesn't have much of a hope, really. He needs to turn to Jesus, then he'll have hope. But until he does that, he has to do the Dawah Dash.
You're saying is not true. Dawah Dash. Dawah Dash.
Our roles have been reversed.
Dawah Dash. Kill the disbelievers wherever you find them.
Christians around the corner. Now what's the mode?
Kill the disbelievers wherever you find them.
I like it, man.
They don't like that one, yeah.
They don't like it.
Kill the disbelievers wherever you find them. Listen.
And now it's not just, hey, we've gone from addressing a crowd to pretending to have a private conversation. Now we've got all the Muslim brothers trying to surround so that Christians can't speak to them, because that would mean they'd have to respond. Oh, so brilliant. And you can tell like that they're quite triggered as well, because many of them in the crowd are actually still responding. Like this guy in front of Jude, he's turning around. He's trying to speak his mind. He's trying to deal with the fact that Surah 9, Surah At-Tawbah, Ayah 29, clearly talks about killing the disbelievers and the polytheists wherever you find them, which doesn't really suit the narrative very well if you're trying to paint Christianity as a religion of baby killing and not Islam. Whoops. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to show you that because I think it's a good setup into this live stream where we can go through this and we can answer Mansur directly. We can do so in a way that is not just poking fun at him, but rather also gives good reasons for why Mansur's, we would say, bogus claim is completely wrong, that Islam, if anything, would be more in line with the religion that promotes such things, as opposed to Christianity, which clearly condemns it. So I'm going to share a quick presentation. Cool. As we've seen, Mansur's central claim is that Christianity is a religion of baby killing, which is bizarre, but nonetheless, let's go with it for the sake of the argument, and that Islam is not. In fact, he asked us to contrast them, so that's exactly what we'll do in this talk. We will contrast Christianity and Islam and see which one is the religion of baby killing. At least one that's closest to it. So is Mansur right about this? No, Mansur is not right about this at all. And here are some reasons why. So the first one is that the Bible very clearly prohibits murder. Very clearly. As part of the Mosaic Law, as part of the Ten Commandments. In the Old Testament, we see commands such as Exodus 20:13, Deuteronomy chapter 5, verse 17, where the 10 commandments are given, and one of them is very clearly, thou shalt not murder. So immediately, it seems as if the prescriptive law, that which the Hebrew people at the time were bound to, immediately says that, you probably cannot kill babies. The next point will be that not only does the Old Testament just talk about murder in a general sense as something that is prohibited to the Hebrew people, but it also talks about child sacrifice as something that is abhorrent and is something that Yahweh does not approve of, nor does he desire. In fact, he condemns it repeatedly. And some verses on screen, Leviticus 18:21 and Leviticus 22. That is chapter 20, verse 2. That's the Old Testament. When we go to the New Testament, we have the greatest moral example for Christians. Those people are, the people are Christians, but who is the greatest moral example? That is Christ. That is the Messiah, Jesus, the one of whom died for our sins so that we could be atoned through his sacrifice. Now, he explicitly talks about child abuse, those who would hurt the little ones. He does so in Matthew chapter 18, verse 6. He also talks about the commandments when he does the Sermon on the Mount. He talks about in the Old Testament when he talks about that you cannot murder. Murder is not permissible to anyone. It is prohibited. He talks and he expands upon that, and he even illustrates how it is to take that command and to go even further with it. He gives kind of like allegories on the Sermon on the Mount in chapter 5. So we have a basic layout for the moral commandments that Christians are to live by. It is not baby killing in any sense. In fact, a cursory overview of the biblical text as a whole will make that very clear that that's something that God does not want. He does not make permissible. It is very much prohibited, and therefore something Christians are not to do. And not only Christians, but also the Hebrew people and for all of mankind, as Christ was is the Son of God who became incarnate for all humanity. I've just noticed we have got a special guest here. We have Ibn Dawood. I'm going to bring you to the stage. Hello, David. How you doing?
Hey, people. Hey, Chris. I'm good, thank you. Chris, please carry on. I'm just getting my sources ready because I would also like to contribute to the idea of which religion is the one that kills suckling babies. But hey, everyone.
Absolutely. Yeah, sure thing. I will continue. Let me know when you want to jump in. And otherwise, let's carry on. So let's look at reason 2. The prophets are not all moral examples in the biblical text. There is no understanding that the prophets are moral examples of whom we are to live our life according to their example in the Old Testament. You won't find this. You very clearly, whether you ask Christians, you ask Rabbinic Jews, Second Temple Jews, whatever group you ask regarding their scriptures, which is the Old Testament or the Tanakh in this case, they will tell you the same thing. You are not to follow the example of David because David erred in many instances and he did wrong things that he was punished for. Likewise, Saul, likewise, Moses. There is no perfect moral example in the Old Testament in terms of those who are prophets, in terms of those who are kings. Likewise with patriarchs. But in the New Testament, there is Christ, and Christ is our example, and he is the one that we choose to follow. So we get our morality, the one who shows us the right way, the good life, how we ought to conduct ourselves, and as part of our everyday routine. He is the example we look up to. So we can summarize this with a syllogism. So we can say all mere men are fallible, Christ being not just a mere man, but the Old Testament prophets and kings are mere men, and therefore it follows that the prophets, Moses or David, for example, and the kings like King Saul, are fallible human beings, and hence they are prone to err. And because they're prone to err, we are not called to follow them, we are called to follow God. Christ is God incarnate, we are to follow Christ as Christians. Reason number 3, God as the ultimate source of good. So this is slightly philosophical, but I kind of want people to follow along with this because it helps in preparing for how we are to take the biblical text holistically. We are to understand God and God's providence and how he exercises his providence in reflection of his attributes. So when we talk about theism, we talk about God as being the greatest moral good. There is nothing greater than God morally. If there was something greater than God morally, whatever it is that we're talking about, that would be God. And so to talk about God would mean to talk about that other thing and not the morally deficient thing. So if God is the greatest morally conceivable being that is rational, that is possible, we also have to take that as our picture when we think of God, and also remember to take into account that God is all-knowing. He is omniscient. So not only is God morally perfect, he is the source of all good, he is also the source of all knowledge. God knows all things that there is to know. What that then follows from is that God, in his wisdom and in his benevolence, can choose to act in the world through his creation in a way which might be challenging to us, because as limited beings, we don't have a full picture of the world. We only have a slice of the causes and effects that we can see in the world and the outcomes. Someone does X, therefore Y happens. We can see some of it, but we can't see all of it. We're bound to just seeing a small amount. We're limited human beings, after all, and no human being is perfect. But God is perfect, and he's perfect in his attributes. So he's perfect in his goodness, and he's perfect in his knowledge, his wisdom. What that means is that when we look at things that are difficult in the biblical text, where God acts in a way that we perhaps might wince at and say, oh, that looks difficult, that looks challenging to us to understand, we can reflect on this and say, well, we know that because of who we're talking about God, we know that he can have morally permissible reasons for allowing or commanding some of the acts that we see in the biblical text. Now, this isn't a perfect solution to every issue, because as much as I would like to, I can't demonstrate that that is the case. I can't, because really it's a philosophical possibility, and it's something that I think is consistent with the biblical text, and it's consistent with what we understand of God from a philosophical point of view. But I can't prove it to you. I can't give you some kind of mathematical formula. I can't give you a deductive argument that is more probable than not, even. I don't think I can give you that. Now, what that means is there is an element of trust involved. And I think that's fair. And I think as part of the Christian life, we're called to have faith in God, and we're called to look at everything holistically, and we're called to accept the limited nature of our own knowledge. So I think it is sufficient to say that God has morally permissible reasons for acting in certain ways and at certain points in history. And I think it would be upon anyone who disagrees with that to give a defeater for the argument, to say that no, God cannot have morally permissible reasons to allow particular events to occur or to command particular events in history. And that's going to be kind of important later on, I feel, because that actually relates to every theist, and that includes both Muslims and Christians. So, reason 4. Now, this is where we go on the offensive, and we start to illustrate that actually Islam is a much better criteria for a religion that is permissible to the killing of children than Christianity. The reason why I say that is multiple, is many reasons, but we're going to go through them now. So the first reason I want us all to look at is the fact that the Quran is a blatant witness to the Torah and the Injil. The Quran repeatedly quotes from the Torah and the Injil. It repeatedly quotes stories. Many of these stories are stories in which God does kill people. That is a factual thing in the biblical text. It is also repeated in the Quran. Let's take a look at some examples. So we have in Surah 7, Ayah 78, it talks about an overwhelming earthquake which struck them and they fell lifeless in their homes. This is the tribe of Talmud, or Thamud, if I'm pronouncing it right, where they ultimately meet their demise because God sends an earthquake and he kills them all. Interestingly enough, you can look at Ibn Kathir's tafsir on this, and he points out that this applies to all of them, including the young and the old. What does that mean? Well, if it applies to everyone, and this is a tribe, it's an entire group of people, it's a little commune, it's a little society, this would also include suckling infants, Mansur. Now, let's look at Quran chapter 29, verse 14. And we certainly sent Noah to his people. Noah, that sounds familiar. And he remained among them 1,000 years minus 50 years. And the flood seized them while they were wrongdoers. It turns out the Quran quotes the flood narrative. Interesting. What happens in the flood narrative? Well, I mean, there's debate over whether you're talking a global flood or a localized flood, but at very minimum, it's the complete and utter desolation of entire groups of people. This is something that God calls Noah to survive through, but he doesn't call others to survive through it. The Quran agrees with the biblical account. What would this mean? It would mean that the Quran also contains verses where it talks about Allah, God, in their context, commanding the death of suckling infants, Mansur. This is basic knowledge to any Muslim who has ever read the Quran, by the way. I'm not even giving even remotely controversial verses. This is just bread and butter theology for Islam. Mansur is hoping Muslims don't know this so he can trick them into thinking that their religion is somehow different. Let's look at Quran chapter 11, verse 82. So when our command came, we made the highest part of the city its lowest and rained upon them stones of layered hard clay. This is talking about Sodom and Gomorrah, because that is also in the Quran. And guess what, Mansur? It turns out that God does indeed command the destruction of these people. That would include everyone there in entire cities. That would include infants, even suckling infants. So we can see here the Quran seems to be agreeing with the biblical account that God does indeed have the right to give and take life. Something that no Christian has an issue with, and obviously no Muslim should have an issue with either. But Mansur does. Mansur isn't aware as to what is written in his own scriptures. Reason 5. The Quran seems to mention child killing. Now, there is a verse in the Quran that talks about how it is prohibited to kill children. It seems to go a bit further and talk about the context of them starving or not being able to provide for them. But I would be prepared to say the Quran may make a general claim that killing children is wrong. I think that's fair, because I am being fair. I'm not trying to sell a narrative to you like Mansur is. But the Quran also does have a very interesting story in Surah 18 about an interesting man who is a companion of Musa, a companion of Moses, who decides to kill a boy. He sees a boy. There's actually a hadith that goes into more detail. It's actually a boy amongst other boys. So he goes up to a group of underage male children, and he picks one out and he decides to kill them. I think he does it with his bare hands or something. And Moses is shocked at this because obviously that's terrible. Even the Quran seems to understand and acknowledge that is terrible. Moses says, "Have you killed a pure soul for other than having killed a soul? You have certainly done a deplorable thing." Moses is correcting him. Whoever this guy is, Al-Khidr is his name, he seems to be killing children. Now, later on in the same surah, 6 verses down, it says this. And as for the boy, and this is basically going on with the narrative, Al-Khidr kills a kid. He does a few other acts as well. Later, and the idea is that Moses constantly questions Al-Khidr. He's like, how could you do this? How could you do this? What is the point of it? You've done something wrong. But Al-Khidr keeps saying, look, trust me, bro. I have reasons for doing this. And after the third occasion, Al-Khidr turns to Moses, and explains why he killed the child. And he explains likewise. And as for the boy, his parents were believers. So this small boy, his parents were Muslim. And we feared that he would overburden them by transgression and disbelief. I want you all to think about that. This boy is supposedly a threat to his parents because he is going to cause them transgression and disbelief. Not only that, it is therefore warranted in Al-Khidr's eyes that he can therefore go up to the child and just instantly KO the child, kill the child in a very brutal manner, potentially even in front of other kids, if you read the Hadith material. So that, to me, seems to be a case in which it is permissible in the Quran, because, again, Al-Khidr is not... Allah doesn't come down and say, Al-Khidr, what you did is wrong. but rather this seems to be the Quran justifying the reason. And the emphasis of the story isn't on the fact that this guy kills a child. The emphasis is on the fact that Moses didn't accept that he had valid reasons for doing it. And hence Moses is reprimanded. In fact, in the Hadith material, it talks about how Moses didn't attribute all wisdom to Allah. And because he didn't, Allah chose to send Al-Khidr to Musa, to Moses, to teach him that there are people who know things he doesn't know. What that would mean is that Al-Khidr knows valid justifications for killing children who have not reached the age of maturity and hence aren't accountable to their actions. It also seems to imply, at least to me, looking at the material, that this boy is morally accountable to what he has not yet done. Now, this is difficult because in most theistic positions, Christianity being the one I'm coming from, you wouldn't say that a child is accountable for things until they reach the age where they are now in the age of reason. They have accountability, they know right from wrong, they have wisdom, they have knowledge, and they can make their own minds up about things. And therefore, if they do something bad, like they steal, they hit someone, they kill someone, they are held accountable because they are now old enough to be accountable. For some reason, though, this boy seems to already be at that age, even though he's described as a boy. And if you read tafsir on this, it agrees. He's a small boy. He's definitely not a man. He's definitely not a young adult. He's a boy. But he's being held morally accountable for what he does. Actually, it's not even what he does. It's what he will do in the future, according to Al-Khidr. And the traditional account attributes Al-Khidr as acting according to the will of Allah. So he's not doing anything weird. He's not acting of his own account. He's not going rogue. He is actually carrying out Allah's will, which is that this boy should die, not because of anything the boy has done, but because he's being held accountable for things he is yet to do. That to me is difficult. Now, I pointed this out to Mansur. There's a video on YouTube, actually, people can find it, where I talk to Mansur. I say talk. I try to get a word in edgeways and explain to him that he can't make these broad accusations without realizing he's digging a hole for Islam, especially the Quran, because the Quran talks about Al-Khidr killing a boy in Surah 18, ayah 74 to 80. Mansur didn't seem to know about this and didn't want to talk about it, which for someone who is supposedly a lion of Islam, who is considered to be one of the best debaters that still is at Speaker's Corner. Most of us at this point have left, but Mansur and Hashim are some of the only ones left there now that frequently, well, they don't debate, but they go out and they're at the corner at least, and they do talk to people. Yeah, he's the best, and he didn't know this, and he couldn't give an answer to this. And I find that sad, in all honesty. Reason number 6. Now, this is where it just explodes into a complete mess. But so I've just talked about the Quran and the fact that the Quran talks about an instance of a boy being accountable for something, even though he's not the age of maturity, even though he doesn't actually do anything, he's still accountable for it. Tafsir expands on that further, Hadith expands on that further. But if you just look at the Sunnah material, if you look at the narrations and the traditions that are attributed to Muhammad as valid, sahih narrations, you are left with no excuse anymore. It blows it out of the water. If you are genuine, if you're a sincere person, like Mansur wants people to be, apparently he wants people to be sincere people, and you're trying to explain how you don't think Islam is a possible contender for being a religion that does permit child killing in some sense, but Christianity is, I think you're either completely ignorant of the Sunnah or you're lying about the Sunnah, because it's one of those two options. There was story after story after story. This is just the first 5 that I plucked out, but we're going to go through some of these and we're going to just talk about them. And I'd love to have any Muslim come on. I've put the link for the StreamYard down below. You can jump on and try and defend this and explain to me how you think that, how you can even begin to justify this, given that it talks about the killing of children, and particularly the killing of those who would be suckling infants. But let's jump in to some of those now.
While Chris is getting it up, I was just going to say, so regarding the instance of Al-Khidr, for those who've looked into it, right, it appears that the sort of like messaging of minority reports was long ago confirmed by the Quran. So you can indeed kill somebody for an action that they haven't yet committed if you have certainty that they will commit that action at some point in the future. So you can kill them or jail them, and somehow that works. Interestingly, that raises some moral issues. Should you be able to do harm to somebody because they will at some point do harm to somebody else in the future, but they haven't actually performed the action just yet? Is that worth it? Is there a way of maybe correcting the person or maybe mitigating against the harm that they'll do since you have preemptive knowledge of it? Apparently, no.
Exactly right. It's a very difficult and just flat out. Hey, look, this is Islam. This is something that you can do. It's not. I mean, I guess for me, it's the fact that it talks about why this happens, and it says it's because this young boy was going to make his parents disbelief. They were going to become non-Muslims. They were going to leave Islam because of what this boy was going to do. Hence, it's permissible to kill him. And if you keep reading on, it actually talks about how it's permissible that Allah will give them another child who will be better than that one. Ooh, difficult stuff. Right, let's read this part of the Sunnah. So in Sunan Abi Dawud, this is the chapter regarding killing of women. So I'm not even going to really try to pronounce these. Said that he asked the apostle of Allah, which would be Muhammad, about the polytheists whose settlement, I think that's meant to be settlement, it's just a typo, were attacked at night when some of their offspring and women were smitten. Okay, so we're talking about raids that are happening during the night. And spoiler alert, Muhammad orders these. In fact, there's other hadith that say that Abu Bakr was the commander, and Abu Bakr would have obviously been a commander as placed by Muhammad. They go into settlements, they raid them, and they kill men, women, and children. Let's keep reading. The Prophet,
Chris, if you'd like, sorry to cut you off, but if you'd like something even better, would you like a link for Sahih Muslim in case someone says, it's Sunni Abi Dawood, it's not as strong?
Yeah, I actually have all of them. So I'm going to bring like all of them up. But
Sahih Muslim's even better because it has a title for the chapter, and the title is so on the nose that it's laughable. But you'll see in a minute. I posted it in the chat if you want to see.
Sure. We'll show that one next. I want to show this one because this is, in a sense, giving the benefit of the doubt. But anyway, the Prophet said, they are of them.
Mm-hmm.
So regarding the offspring and the women, the Prophet said, the offspring and the women that are killed, the Prophet said they are of them. Amir bin Dinar used to say, they are regarded in the same way as their parents. Now, in the context of these battles, the people who are being attacked in these night raids are polytheists. Polytheists in Islam go to hell, Jahannam. If polytheists go to Jahannam, and if the infants and the women are considered among them, what does that mean, David?
It means that the infants and the children are also going to hell along with them?
It does. It does indeed. Which is kind of bad because, again, this would have been a perfect opportunity for Muhammad to say, no, what are you guys doing? Why are you killing children? I never told you to do that. I never told you to go out and kill children and women. Why is that happening? Gosh, that's terrible. Don't you know the Quran forbids it? Nope. He doesn't say that at all.
That verse probably hadn't come down yet or something. I don't know.
Maybe so. Maybe they were waiting for, or maybe only Surah 18 had come down. So they were just going off that, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
So here's an interesting thing then. It even goes on in this surah to say that eventually, after this event, Muhammad prohibited to kill women and children. But wait, hang on a second. After this, then it was prohibited. If this came after the event, then it must have follows that it would have been permissible before the event. If only after this event occurred was it then prohibited to kill women and children, it follows that before it was permissible, and hence why those polytheists who were attacked at night, their offspring and their women were killed because Muhammad allowed it. That's why they did it. That's why they asked him, not, hey, Muhammad, are you cool with us killing all these children? But rather they said, hey, you know how we've killed all these children who are like, and their parents are polytheists when we were doing these night raids? Where are those children going to go? They're going to go to hell, basically, says Muhammad, because they follow their parents, and their parents are polytheists, so they would go to Jahannam. Not looking good.
The person stating that apparently thereafter there's a prohibition on killing women and children is just one person. So this Al-Zuri person. So who knows how trustworthy they were, because it appears that even in not in this direction, but the messaging is coming from one person. So it'd be cool to see if anyone else corroborated it. But even if that was true, indeed, that they stopped killing them in warfare, I have a couple of interesting things to show about other ways that Islam permits the killing of children. But we can go ahead and carry on when you're ready.
Interesting. Right, let's have a look at the Sahih version.
So that would be the very last link. So the Sahih Muslim 1745a.
Let's do it, because obviously we're all about the most authentic hadith.
Of course. It's Sahih until they don't leave it Sahih. So very short hadith. But one thing I love about hadith books is the titling of the chapters. So this is in the book of Jihad and Expeditions in Sahih Muslim, and the title of chapter 9 is the permissibility of killing women and children in night raids, so as long as it is not done deliberately.
Oh, this is terrible. So
not sure how you accidentally kill a kid in night raid. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Wow, this guy is like crying like a baby. It's like
you get you get sort of scared by a suckling infant, and you're like, and you go, no. It is not good. So it is reported on the authority of Sayyid the
same person as the last time, I think. Yeah.
I think it is, yeah.
Yep.
That the Prophet of Allah, when asked about the women and the children of the polytheists being killed during the night raid, said, they are from them. Which is a lovely thing to say, really, about children, that they're going to hell. Yeah. I mean, I don't really know how Muslims would defend that. In fact, I haven't seen Muslims successfully defend this. It's just a nightmare. It's just a nightmare. I mean, the best thing that you can say is that Muhammad eventually prohibited it. That's the best thing you can say.
You want to hear a defense I once heard?
Go on. What's his defense?
Now, I'll give them credit for actually even knowing this, but are you familiar with the painting of George Washington crossing the Delaware River when he's standing on the edge of the boat, sort of looking very heroic, and people are like paddling it? You must have seen it somewhere. If you want to look it up, it's called. I don't know what it's called as a picture, but effectively, George Washington is on this boat, right? And then he's looking very heroic, and it's being paddled. It's like a very famous painting. So the historical context behind that is that he was basically sailing over. It's like a small island somewhere off of the east coast of of what is now known as America, to basically go and kill a bunch of German soldiers who were, I think, siding with the British at the time. And I think including those who were killed were men and women. So the defense was, hey, George Washington did it.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was the defense. I was like, that's not very good. Okay.
Yeah.
If you insist.
Yeah. I mean, likewise here, it seems like Muhammad is just trying to retroactively cover for a mistake, which is that he ordered... Well, he told Abu Bakr to be a commander to launch these night raids, and that ended up in children being killed. And afterwards, he's like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't do that. Which, again, not very good moral example from someone that Muslims are commanded to follow.
Think about it. If they kill all the kids, how many are going to be left for him?
Oh dear.
It,
Right.
it's just like when they say, "Oh, we can't cut down trees during war." Yeah, why do you think you're in the desert? You probably shouldn't cut down a tree.
It is a weird prohibition, especially
But
since that seems to be more self-evident than the killing of children. Well, not trying not to kill children
deliberately.
really. So we have some others actually. Some people have joined and put some stuff in the chat.
Hmm.
Let's show some of these because these also look pretty interesting. Some other accounts
From Trinity and Ibn Majah. Okay.
Let's have a look. This is Jamal al-Tirmidhi. He says, chapter, what has been related about cessation for arbitration? Narrated Atiyah al-Qurayzi. We were presented to the Messenger of Allah on the day of the Battle of the Qurayza. Whoever had pubic hair, I think this is going to lead on to what I was going to bring up at some point, but this is brilliant. We'll do it now. Whoever had pubic hair was killed, and whoever did not was left to his way. I was of those who did not have pubic hair, so I was left to my way. This hadith is Hasan Sahih, which is weird because that would mean it's good, authentic. But okay. That is acted upon according to some of the people of knowledge. They consider pubic hair an indication of the age of responsibility. If it is not known whether or not he had a wet dream or his age, this is the view of Ahmad and Ishaq. Oh, would you look at that? It's a Sahih hadith, according to Jerusalem. Here's the reference for anyone who wants to check it up. Now, I have some questions. Okay. There are instances, if I understand right, David, where you can have a young boy who's just started puberty, who is in no sense reached the age of accountability because he has just started puberty, like somewhere like 9, 10, or 11 years old, somewhere like that. But it's possible that he may have a few, let's say a couple of pubic hairs. Now, according to this hadith, what should happen to him, that, say, for example, 10-year-old, who has pubic hairs?
Well, he is a legal combatant in the eyes of a 7th century caravan robber, so therefore he should also go the way of all the other combatants who have now lost. So,
would I be right in saying that this hadith is talking about something that happened to Muhammad, to a Jewish tribe, of the tribe of Qurayza, who had their last stand for settlement, or what you call it, like a fort, surrounded by Muhammad's forces. They besieged them for multiple days. They eventually surrendered. When they surrendered, Muhammad asks a Jewish person what the judgment should be to these Jews. And this Jewish person then says the men and women should be killed, and those who are children should be taken as possessions, as property. Muhammad then decides, oh, great, let's do that. And how we can separate the adults, those who have reached the age of maturity, the age of wisdom, the age of accountability, they're now adults, they can now speak for themselves. The way we know these people is that they have pubic hair. And not a fully developed pubic hair. We're talking about just the presence of pubic hair. So in practice, Muhammad would have run around and would have killed, presumably by beheading. I think it's by beheading, or it's slitting the throat, if I remember right, of those boys. And they are boys because their bone structure wouldn't have developed, their muscles wouldn't have developed. They would have just had a couple of pubic hairs, but Muhammad is given the order for them to be killed. That, to me, is killing boys. It's killing of children. And
he would have done so after first pulling their pants down.
And looking at their genitals, yeah.
In public.
Which
is very, very, very interesting.
Which is very, yeah. So it's not Muhammad at his finest hour. I think it's probably the way I maybe look at that. But yeah, this is, to me, this is disgusting. If this actually happened, if this was a real historic event, this is, of course, in Muslim tradition. This is the Sunnah, as we've seen here in Al-Tirmidhi. It's rated Sahih. So, it's only the most finest of hadiths. And it's also Ibn Ishaq. It's in our Al-Tirmidhi, I think. No, sorry, not Al-Tirmidhi. Wrong word. It'll come to me. But there's another historian who gives an account of this. So it's very well tested. It seems that as a Muslim, you would have to accept this is what Muhammad did, and this is what your greatest example teaches you.
Interesting parallel to the idea of checking over the pubic hair. So my teacher told me about this years ago when I was in school, and I don't have a reference for it, but I can find it at some point if you should like me to. But there's a book written by a Holocaust survivor who managed to actually survive the Holocaust concentration camps, and then moved to America, and then eventually actually became a millionaire in his own right. But then he writes a book about his experience at the Holocaust, or during the before the Holocaust, during and afterwards. So before the Holocaust, he happened to be born to a Jewish mother who had blonde hair and blue eyes, which was quite rare in that time. And so people didn't suspect outright that he or his mother were Jewish. Then eventually some of the boys in his class one day discover that he's Jewish because he's circumcised. So essentially they see that he is circumcised when they're playing around with each other. As he's walking home one day, they run after him and start yelling that he's a Jew. So Nazi officers surround him and force him to take his pants down in public. And by the way, at this time, he's about like 6 or 7 years old. He's not very old at this point in time. And so it's quite interesting that the idea of the public humiliation, the staring at the genitals to like determine if somebody is of a certain kind of like registration or whatever. It's interesting that repeats itself across the two different sort of like time streams, which is interesting.
Yeah, this is it's just such a weird thing to do. Yeah, I'm gonna invite someone onto stage. Basil, if I'm pronouncing your name correctly.
Hi, Chris. Am I audible?
Hello there. Are you a Muslim? Are you a Christian? What is your belief?
Yeah, I'm a Muslim.
Cool. So I guess my question really is, do you agree with Mansur? If you've been watching up until now, this whole stream is inspired by the fact that Mansur at Speaker's Corner, he decided to present a question to the Christians at Hyde Park about whether or not either Christianity, Judaism, or Islam is the religion of baby killing. And he makes an argument that Christianity is the religion of baby killing, as he puts it, and not Islam. Do you agree with Mansur?
Yeah, yes.
Then how do you deal with these sources that we have on screen of Muhammad killing children?
Yeah, first of all, the first evidence you show me that is in night time. That is a collateral damage. That is unintentional killing, not intentional killing. Okay? Second thing, this one is...
Say that again. You made a distinction there between intentional and unintentional killing.
Yeah, that's a night time, right? So that's mean that, first of all, that's one of the Sahabi, one of the companion asking, can they kill them in the night time? So that's mean they understood you cannot kill the children on daytime. You cannot kill the children women on the daytime. That's why they're asking, can I do it in the night time? So
right,
these
but
people
remember
understood.
But Muhammad prohibited the killing of women and children after this event. He didn't do it before the event.
Yeah, first that's mean he said no. The point is after this even what he said, they are like if it is unintentional, you cannot do it. If it's unintentional, that is fine. If it's intentional, you cannot kill them. That's the
right.
point.
I understand that, but this is after the event. In other words, prior to this event, it was permissible to do this. Hence, why they did this.
No, are you talking about this one
that
or
Muhammad's
previous one?
response when he's told about this isn't be careful. It's whatever. They're all together anyway. So if you're gonna kill the disbelievers, kill their kids too. So just saying.
No, he don't go to the hadith. Go to the hadith. First of all, you have to understand that person is asking what he's asking. He is asking, can I, if I am killing the children and women in the night time, is it okay or not? That's been from that one we can understand.
And Muhammad says, do what you like. Does he say no? Be careful. Yeah, they're from them. Whatever.
They are from them because you cannot differentiate between them. Because in the night time you cannot see the woman or children. That's mean you cannot do it in the daytime. You can do it in the night time because you cannot differentiate with them. How can you care? Do you have glasses? The night vision glasses in 7th century?
There's two things there. The first thing then is if he is a true prophet of God and actually cares about preventing the killing of children, he shouldn't do it at nighttime. Simple as that. That's the first thing. The second thing is his response shows absolutely no care for the children. Show me in this hadith anywhere where he's concerned or even cares that children's lives are in danger. Show me.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling. 7th century, they did not have the night vision glasses. So when they are fighting, they cannot be careful because they are fighting. They are charging into a place.
That wasn't my question.
Definitely they will find women and children.
Can I ask real quickly? Do you believe that they couldn't see anything?
They can see, but they cannot differentiate.
Okay, so wait, no, they can't. No, they obviously can differentiate. Otherwise, they just kill each other. If you all charge into like a tribe, right? You need to have sunlight. Because if you don't, you literally will just kill your own team. You'll kill your own men. So you need to have enough light to distinguish between who is part of the tribe of Qurayza or whoever is fighting this and the polytheists. You need to be able to distinguish between them. And the way you do that in warfare is you'd be able to see a visual distinctive form of dress or symbol or something, and that allows you to make that distinction. And notice this hadith, or any of these hadith, do not talk about how their own members of their own tribe were killed. Only the polytheists were killed, and that included women and children. So why was that? If it was so dark, they couldn't see.
First of all, it's asking when you're charging. When you're charging to an enemy place, first of all, you can identify that is the enemy because they are on the opposite side. Okay.
Well,
that's a simple
Wait, no, my friend. When you charge into this is an encampment. They're going into the encampment, and this is during the night. They're asleep. You're literally going past tents, most likely, where people are asleep.
Additionally, how can you tell that they attacked from the same direction? How can you tell they didn't surround them and attack from all directions to cause confusion? You can't tell that, actually.
Okay, so first of all point is, now, even in this case, Prophet Muhammad telling you cannot kill them in the daytime, okay? That's they understood. You cannot, this is talking about unintentional, okay? So you are making
but this is after the event. So it wasn't prohibited before this event. It was only prohibited after the event, which is what this hadith records. Thereafter, the Messenger of Allah prohibited to kill women and children after this happened. It wasn't prohibited before. In the hadith on screen, if you look at the bottom.
Okay, therefore the Muslims protect women and children.
Yeah. He after this event happened, after people came up to him and said, Muhammad, look, women and children were killed who were polytheists. They were the children of the polytheists during these night raids. What happens to them? Keep in mind, no hadith records Muhammad going, oh gosh, you're telling me that you killed children? That's barbaric. Why did you do that? No hadith says this.
He just says,
In fact, the point that's in contention here is that they are worried they have done something bad, and they're asking Muhammad not to reprimand them, but rather, is it permissible because they are going with their parents? What happens to them? To which Muhammad gives them an answer that is satisfactory to them. They are with their parents. They are in Jahannam. They are in hell.
No, first of all, do you agree we cannot do it in the daytime? Do you agree that one? You cannot do it because when these people are asking, can I do it in the night time? That's mean these people understood we cannot do it in the daytime. Daytime we can clearly differentiate.
I disagree with that because the next hadith shows you an occurrence where Muhammad kills kids just because they have some pubic hairs. So that's not done in the nighttime, so that's done in the daytime. So I disagree with you. The pubic hair, that's mean at that time. Okay, normally if you go on Google search, okay, when you have the pubic hair start to grow when you are 11 years plus, 11, 12.
No, it varies among people. There is no set age.
Do a general search, Google search. When you are at 11, 12, it will start to grow. Okay, that's mean these 11, 12.
Now, hold on a second, Fazl. There's something you need to know. So people are very different now in the way that they develop in the modern day versus how they developed in the olden days. The biggest distinguisher of development now compared to back then is diet. Now, there are hadiths, for example, that tell you things like Aisha's mother tried to fatten her up when she was married by feeding her cucumbers and dates. So
Okay.
if cucumbers and dates is the best thing they have, cucumbers is like 80% water, and dates just sugar. If that's the best they have to fatten you up, then it's very unlikely that any of these people who are being talked about would have shown significant signs of maturity. And to make it even worse, the fact that in the daytime they can't distinguish visually between who is a child and who is a combatant tells you that for some reason the look of a child and the look of a combatant wasn't that substantially different, probably owing to diet. Everybody there was very malnourished, short, skinny, and pale looking.
No, what are you telling me? What you are telling is not even make sense.
I'm telling you that
You're telling is the point is the point is that
you said this can only happen at nighttime. I'm telling you, no, it can happen in the daytime as well, and we can show you that with another hadith.
Yeah, daytime. Okay, first of all, daytime. Prophet
It's
Muhammad killed
also-
the people who has. Okay, let me finish. Okay, he killed only the people the children who has the pubic hair. Okay, at least whether it's a 10 or whether it's 9, it is better
At
than
least
killing the babies in
children.
the Bible, right? Don't you think? So it's better than killing the infants
see,
in the
there you
Bible.
Now
go.
we jump.
Now
we
we
jump.
jump. Now we do the jump.
No, this is the case. So you have no, not jumping. Okay, no, you are telling even your canon law, even in your Bible, even your biblical law,
Faisal,
12 years
before
you can
jump,
marry,
Faisal,
right?
a
12
moment.
years you can
Faisal,
marry. That's mean
Faisal,
the people
before
at the
you
time.
jump,
Okay, yeah.
I will allow you to jump, but you have to do something for us before you jump, Faisal. You have to admit that Mansur is wrong and there is killing of babies, suckling infants, whatever the case might be, within the Islamic context, and it is allowed. Before you jump, you have to admit that. If you don't admit that, Faisal, then we have to show you more things. So your choice.
Okay, first of all, I told you children are not allowed because my point is even your canon law, if you are 12 years plus, you can marry. That means that shows at that time, not in the 7th or 8th century or 1st century, people used to mature before. Now today we have the maturity comes when you are 18 years old. But before that,
No, it doesn't show that at all. It just
century,
shows they were in
maturity
error
will
at the
come
time.
much less. Sorry?
You said that shows
comes,
they matured earlier. I'm saying no, it just shows they were in error. I'm
No,
not going to
no,
defend the
maturity-
age of 12 for the Roman law. I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to say no,
No,
they're
Christian,
incorrect when they thought the age of 12 was acceptable.
I'm not talking about Roman law. I'm talking about Christian law. Your canon law. Your canon law said you can marry 12 years plus, right?
Okay, Faisal. That
Your
came
biblical law,
from prior
your
Roman law.
your
It's just a continuation of it.
Okay, how they can, if they have the Bible, if the Bible is against it,
Faisal,
then how they continue that
you're
one?
jumping. Now,
Not that
Faisal,
jumping.
I
I'm
told you,
telling
the only way I can
Dawood,
let
I'm
you
not
jump, Faisal, is if you
I am
admit that Mansur was wrong. If you admit that, Faisal, then you can jump over to Christianity and we can show you that you're in error, or we can show you more damning things concerning the treatment of children within Islam and how it leads to their death in a very halal manner. What would you like?
Okay, Dawood, I'm not jumping. I'm telling the age of
All right,
marriage. The age
Chris,
of
we
marriage
gotta
is
show him
wrong.
more stuff. We gotta show him more
Another
stuff.
one. Yeah,
Okay,
let's do some more
so
stuff.
we
that's
gotta
why
show more
you
stuff.
don't agree.
No. If
Dawood,
you're
you
going to
don't
jump,
agree.
we're going to continue to give you more evidence
We're
so
gonna
you
give
can
you
see
more.
the point.
Chris, first of all, let's talk about this one. Do you agree in the 1st to 7th centuries, okay, people used to mature before 18 years old?
Nope.
Don't you get that simple point? Okay,
Nope.
then you're telling you all the
Okay,
Bible
Faisal, let me explain to you my position
wrong.
super quick. Well, let me explain just so I can give you an answer, and I'm going to continue with this because you're not going to pivot from this.
Mm-hmm.
I condemn any pedophilic acts throughout all history.
Sure.
Anyway, moving forward. Okay, let's look at the Sunnah.
Okay.
So this is another
So
example. No, I've
telling all
already
the
answered
church
you.
person.
I
We
gave
answered
you an
you.
answer. I promised you an answer. Now let me give you evidence that Muhammad condones the killing of children. Okay, this is in the Sunnah. This is from Abu Dawood. This is in the prescribed punishments. Let me read this. Okay, so this is narrated Abdullah ibn Abbas. He's a particularly important figure if I understand my Islamic history well. So we should listen to what he has to say. A blind man had a slave mother who used to abuse the Prophet and disparage him. He forbade her, but she did not stop. He rebuked her, but she did not give up her habit. One night, she began to slander the Prophet. So the abuse that's being talked about here is vocal. It's just saying bad things about Muhammad. That's what's being talked about. She used to slander the Prophet and abuse him. So he took a dagger, placed it on her belly, pressed it, and killed her. That's interesting. a child who came between her legs, was smeared with the blood that was there. When the morning came, the prophet was informed about it. Now, he assembled the people and said, I adjure by Allah, the man who has done this action, I adjure him by my right to him that he should stand up, jumping over the necks of the people and trembling, the man stood up. He sat before the prophet and said, Messenger of Allah, I am her master. She used to abuse you and disparage you. I forbade her, but she did not stop, and I rebuked her, but she did not abandon her habit. I have 2 sons like pearls from her, and she was my companion. Last night she began to abuse you and disparage you, so I took a dagger, put it on her belly, and pressed it till I killed her. Thereupon the prophet said, Oh, be witness, no retaliation is payable for her blood.
Okay.
So it's quite clear from this, and my understanding is that there is a child here. A child.
The child was not killed. The woman was killed. Child was not killed. That's mean that because when the blood comes out of her body, there was a child, and the child was covered with blood. The child was not killed. Go and read it, Chris.
So
I'm
saying to you, whoa, listen. I need to.
The woman was killed, not the child was killed.
Yeah, the woman was killed for disparaging Muhammad, right? There was no retaliation is payable for her blood for doing that.
Yeah, this is not.
So it's permissible in that sense that you can kill people simply for insulting Muhammad, even if there's a child present.
Yeah, the child was not killed, right? That is the topic we are talking.
No, so even though the child saw it, no worries whatsoever. That's totally fine. It's permissible to kill someone in front of a child.
No, it doesn't say that. Okay, it doesn't say that you can kill him. Okay, it says accidentally that child came. That's what happened. Right? It doesn't say you cannot kill that. Right? What kind of logic are you using, Chris?
My logic is
that more intelligent than this.
My logic is that it's immoral for Muhammad to justify the killing of a woman by having a knife plunged into her belly, and there is a child present there who is apparently smeared in the blood of the woman.
First of all, look at that woman. The woman is already warned 1 or 2 times. Okay, don't do it. Okay. After
but she wasn't warned. She wasn't warned with the threat of death, right? I mean, like, someone can tell you, hey, don't litter, right? If you're not quite sure that they're gonna like come and chop your head off one day for littering, then you might think it's not a big deal. If you're only insulting somebody, should that then mean that your life gets forfeit because you insulted a man? I don't think so.
Yeah, no, because the thing is now, if you are talking with an atheist, I can say that one, but you are a Christian, right? According to your Bible, Old Testament say the same thing. If you say if you can worship any other god, go and kill that woman. Even if you say don't need to worship other god. If you say you have to worship other god.
So you're jumping again, which I love, but don't worry, I catch crickets for a living. So you have said that my Old Testament says that if somebody goes to worship another god and entices their brother to join them, then kill him. Okay. What does this have to do with killing someone that insults you?
Because that is apostate. Because if you insult Muhammad, that is apostate. In the same way, you're not worshipping other God. You're telling let's go and worship, right?
So no. I love this. I love this. So apostasy, as described in the Old Testament, is you leaving the religion of your fathers, particularly from the land of Abraham,
not leaving,
and then going somewhere else and worshiping another god, and then coming back and then getting your brother to worship that same god. So that's apostasy. Now, in your religion, apostasy is just insulting a man. So are you worshiping the man or God?
First of all, in case of Old Testament, it is not even if you're telling, okay, if you entice, if you say, let's go and worship, okay, you don't know.
That's exactly what I told you. That's exactly what I said.
But it's telling, it's not doing, okay, it's not doing. No, Dawah, you didn't say that.
That's exactly what I said, Faisal. You can go back and watch it again if you'd like. So, Faisal, it appears that in the Old Testament, leaving God and worshiping
not leaving God, Dawah,
but then in your religion, insulting a man who, by the way, it's not even clear at this point if he is a prophet. Don't forget, when they're doing this stuff, right, the disbelievers have no real reason to believe he's a prophet. Yes, sure, he's saying some pretty Arabic words, but he has 0 miracles, and he's not even within the line of prophets. So that woman has no real reason to believe he's a prophet in the first place. He hasn't said anything to prove he's a prophet. So is it really her fault that she was insulting him? And is it really apostasy if a random person comes with a following and tells you they're a prophet, but you're unconvinced that they're a prophet?
No, the point is she's insulting. If she say I reject Muhammad, that's fine. She is insulting despite warning. That's the case. That's the difference.
Wait, so it's permissible to kill someone. It's permissible to have someone killed if they insult Muhammad.
No, first of all, according to our law, if someone insults Prophet Muhammad, he should be given the chance to repent. Okay.
Was that woman given the chance to repent?
Of course. Okay.
No, it never records that.
Not...
It just says that she was saying things about him, and he just had enough, so he just killed her. He didn't give her a warning. He didn't say, "Hey, I'm going to give you a chance to repent before I stab you." He just went up and stabbed her.
Yeah, the warning is there, right? He warned her multiple times. Okay, but I'm telling her. Yeah, you go to the Hadith. It says that one, right? She warned her.
Usually, if you're about to execute the ultimate justice on someone by killing them, by thrusting a blade into their belly and letting their guts split out in front of a child, you would at least have the decency to say, if you don't stop this, I am going to get this knife and shove it in your belly. But the Hadith doesn't record that, so I don't see any reason to think that he did give her that final warning.
No, I don't. In that sense, yeah, they didn't give a warning, but she warned her multiple
times. Okay. So he did not follow the law correctly then?
Maybe that law became later, I think, that apostasy law. So at the moment, anyhow, at the moment she did that one by mistake.
So before that, it was permissible to do so.
Chris, may I share my screen? I also want to bring up some stuff, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I can do.
Okay. So, Chris, the point is now talking about children, right? You went to a different topic, right? So now, because I don't think you don't have anything other than those two hadith. Okay.
Oh no, okay. Faisal. Okay. I got stuff for you, baby.
I got stuff
for you.
Okay. He came with receipts.
All right, Faisal. Let us begin with the topic of abortion. Okay.
Yes.
Now, as far back as the 1st century AD, there is this document that we have in Christianity called the Didache. And the Didache is basically a how-to manual. Like how do you become a Christian? What does being a Christian mean? What are the kinds of things that you're supposed to follow, right? Now, in the Didache, the 1st century, it explicitly mentions this interesting point. When speaking about the commandments, so you shall not practice sorcery. You shall not murder a child by abortion, nor killing at birth. Okay, so this is the thing that why Christians are always saying, "Oh, no to abortion, no abortion." We're always like annoying everybody by saying, "Oh, don't kill kids, right? Abortion is wrong, right?" However, when you go over to the Islamic ideas of when a child is actually even alive, right? You get two main understandings. According to this hadith, it's around the 40 days that the spirit is breathed into a child. And then according to some of your traditions, it's up to 120 days, so 3 months. Now, in that time, it is okay, it is halal to abort a child. Now,
before 40 years.
Now you're gonna say, "Oh, it's if the mother's life is in danger." No, not really. No, that doesn't say any of that. It's a case where
you zoom in a bit, David.
Sorry.
Can you zoom in?
It's a simple case where in your tradition, that child is not living until the 40th or 120th day. Now, if we're saying, Faisal, that Christianity is the religion that kills suckling infants or babies, why are Christians so determined to protect children who are in the womb? Why are we always the ones campaigning against abortions, and why do you guys allow it?
No, first of all, go and read it. Okay, it's 40 days. According to our understanding, 40 days. That is just an that is not a baby yet. Okay, there's no soul. Okay, that's not a baby yet. Like if you go with understanding, you cannot even masturbate. That is also killing, right? Don't you know how many billions of cells, right?
Wait. So first of all, we can address that. That's hilarious. But does that mean that you are therefore saying that Islam? Wait. Let me summarize what you're saying here. In Islam, you can kill babies as long as they don't have souls.
Here, the 40 days, it is not even a baby. That is just a tissue or something.
What is it? What is it then?
So a second ago, you accused us of being atheists. Now you're the atheist.
Yeah,
it's not a baby. It's zygotes. It's not a baby. It's a clump of cells. It's not a baby. It's a parasite. That's exactly what atheists say. So now you're an atheist. Great, I love it.
That is the 40 before 40 days. After 40 days, you cannot do it. Before 40 days, that is a cell. That is like the thing.
Wait, it's still a
thing is the- what
it's
you are
still a
telling-
clump of cells after 40 days. You know, nothing has fundamentally changed magically on the 41st day, right?
Exactly.
Nothing's going to change biologically significantly between the 39th day and the 41st day. According to you, it's just the soul present.
Okay. So according to that one, you cannot even masturbate. If you masturbate, that is a living cell, right?
No biologist defines life as just the presence of sperm cells. No biologist does that. No Christian does. No one does. That's a silly example.
Notice how Christians always have
This
this
is the case. This is the case. You are telling you can.
Not when you have separate the different cells that when they come together will then create life. So effectively, yes, sure thing, as Christians, we don't agree with sexual immorality. That's fine. However, the topic here is very, very concise. Mansur, your ustad, says that one tradition is a baby killing tradition. If you allow for babies to be killed between the 40th day and the 120th day, then your tradition is culpable for murder and ours is against it.
Okay, no. So if
your
anyone
own
abort, what is the punishment? Okay. What is the punishment if you abort in Christianity? Because that is a murder, then there should be a punishment. What is the punishment?
Whether or not or how the punishment is delivered doesn't matter for this conversation.
The punishment doesn't matter.
That you're allowed to perform.
Not for identifying something that's morally wrong. Yeah.
Okay.
You can talk about something that's being
now
morally wrong.
There's no punishment. What is the point? What is the punishment? There's no punishment.
That has no relevance to
punishment.
the status of something being morally wrong.
Okay, now even you're going punished in heaven if you do that sin.
Why? Again, we've answered you. Punishment is not a necessary thing to follow something being morally evil. You can talk about it distinctly.
Chris, it is a necessary thing. If you're not a punishment, that is allowed. That's mean there should be a punishment.
That is incorrect. That is well. Okay, so Chris, if you don't mind, please remember what he just said. If there is no punishment, that means it's allowed. Please remember that, if you don't mind.
Okay.
So, Faisal, again, I'll repeat it one last time, and I'll show you another thing that you guys have in your tradition. When you came in here, Chris asked you, do you agree with Mansur? You said absolutely. Now, what I'm seeing here, Faisal, is that your tradition allows the killing of infants who are in the womb for an arbitrary, non-scientific reason. Even spiritually, it makes no sense. If spiritually, the principle of the human body, the thing that allows the human to actually be energized and move and be able to eventually learn and contemplate God, it makes no sense that in the first 40 days of a Muslima's pregnancy, she's carrying a dead thing inside of her body. It makes no sense.
Okay, now we are telling...
Because without the soul, you are dead. So ultimately,
how about the first day?
Remains.
How about the first day? How about the first day? Can you
So, Faisal,
if you abort in first day,
life begins at conception. The moment that you have the sperm cell and the egg coming together, we believe that union also then leads to the imbuing of the soul into what eventually will be delivered as a baby. You are saying that it happens on the 40th day or it happens on the 120th day. These are arbitrary numbers. They're not scientific, and theologically they have problems. So if you go with 130 day, you believe that for 130 days, for example, you believe that you were dead in your mother's womb for 120 days. That makes no sense.
It is not dead,
because
man. You don't. Dead mean
your
soul leave your body. That is
perfect.
You don't even understand the definition of dead.
Faisal, you are so smart. Death means that your soul leaves your body. Okay. Now, Faisal, if we come across a body with no soul, what is that body? What state is it in?
What?
If we come across a body, Faisal, with no soul, what do we say of the body? It is...
Because that body had a soul, it left. That's why it left body. Because
what do we
understand
say
the difference
of the body? Faisal, what do we say of the body? It is...
Man, Dawah, don't you understand the basic logic, man? I don't know.
Okay.
You,
All right,
you,
Faisal.
you know what is the
Faisal,
difference?
To help you, Faisal,
Okay.
we would say it is dead. It is without its principle. It is without the soul. Therefore, Faisal, if you believe, non-scientifically by the way, that somehow the soul isn't being imbued in the body of the infant when it's in the womb for at least up until 4 months, then therefore you believe that literally it's dead until the soul enters it, because it has no soul. If a body has no soul, it is dead.
Man, my point
think he's
is,
got a
if
point
the body
there,
left
Faisal.
the soul, that is the dead. My point is, okay, if the soul left the body, that is dead. Not if you
the
don't
soul
have in
never
first
enters
place.
the body, it is also dead.
You're arguing for like
what?
like soulless flesh as
Existence.
being.
Is that a thing?
I'm telling you, that's just the flesh. That is the flesh. That's all.
Faisal, which school of fiqh do you subscribe to when it comes to defining when someone has a soul? Is it the school that says after 40 days, or is it the school that says after 120 days?
I'm not sure what my school says.
Okay. Are you aware that because there are these differences in fiqh over this matter, Muslims cannot actually agree when a human being becomes a person and has a soul? Therefore, they can't agree on when a human being is being killed in the womb. Islam has no answer to abortion because Muslims don't know themselves. They argue about it.
The point is, okay, the point is very simple. Okay, we have a deterrent. Okay, when we say even if you abort after 40 days, you have a punishment. You don't have any deterrent. You say, okay, it is a murder, but you don't have punishment.
Wait a moment. What about the other half?
What is the punishment?
I believe you can go up to 120. They don't get punished. You just said we have a deterrent.
Okay.
If you abort after 40 days,
You
what
don't
about
have
the other half of Islam? Doesn't believe that.
Well, they're baby killers.
No, they have 120 days. They have a deterrence after 120 days. We have a deterrent for 40 days. You have a deterrent for no days. You can do it, and still you can be a complete Christian.
My point is that
that is the murder, but no punishment. But what kind of
Muslims disagree. Muslim scholars disagree about when a soul enters the body, right? And hence it becomes just being an inanimate human. Rather, it is now a person, a human with personhood given by the soul. They disagree about when that happens, which means that one group of people is very, very wrong and is killing human beings. They're killing people. And these people are babies. They are the infants, the earliest infants in the womb, which means that even under Islamic law, large groups of Muslims who are following the Sunnah, according to their interpretation of it, are killing babies.
First of all, Chris, there's a disagreement in everything. Even within Christianity, you have disagreement.
Faisal, just to raise one of my, forgive me, I'm interrupting you, but I've thought out something while you were talking. My apologies. But just to raise the point, Adam, whatever you call him in your tradition, right? There's a hadith where he's talking to Musa, and Musa tells him that you made things difficult for our people by getting cast out of the garden. And then Adam says something very interesting. He says, how can you accuse me of something that was decreed by Allah for me 40 years before I was born? And in your traditions, you're told that Adam was first made from clay, and then life was breathed into Adam. So my question to you very quickly, relating to what happens before the 40 days or the 120. When Adam was just clay, was he alive? Or was it only after he had his soul put into him that he was alive?
I don't know. First of all, it's a different topic because I don't know for that answer. It is not mentioned in our sources.
It's the exact same topic, right? It's the exact same thing. There's a state of, if you want to call it, non-existence, where you have no soul and you just stand there as an empty husk, and then suddenly you get a soul. So my question to you is, was Adam alive before he got a soul?
No, first of all, according to our tradition, okay, all the souls were created even before the body, okay? Now, the point is, he was only the separation of the soul. Initially, all the souls were created. After that 40 days, the souls enter the body. That's what we say.
Was Adam alive before he had his soul? That is my question. and you haven't answered it.
Man, his soul was created before the body. Okay, now when he was
Was
created, the clay,
he
his body was
alive?
created. I don't know, man. You don't get
I think
anything.
Faisal, I
Okay,
don't think you
awesome. So you don't know.
understand
Fine.
anything.
No worries. Moving on. I have something else for you. So, Muhammad and Aisha. So, Muhammad, as you already know, I don't need to mention it, but did some things to a girl that was very, very young, and you shouldn't do that. Now, this is an article from Save the Children. So they're the most Islamophobic news network or on the planet, right? Now, they have said that simply in Burkina Faso, which, by the way, just so you know, here's a religious map of it. It is mostly mu'minuns who are there. That 60 girls a day are dying from child marriage. Now, which tradition or religion allows for the killing of suckling infants? So, if you have one tradition that is saying it is okay for you to have child brides, and just in one part of the world, Burkina Faso, by no means the biggest Muslim country in the world, if in one part of the world you're having 60 children dying by an organization, Islamophobic, but an organization that claimed to save the children, how can you then say that your tradition is not one that advocates for the killing of suckling infants, even if it's something through innocuous as marriage?
Okay, before that, I ask you something. So now, according to a tradition, what is the deterrence for not committing murder? You have to answer, because all the thing I am supposed
That
to answer.
sounds like you've just
you answer
jumped.
nothing.
You
You
asked me a very clear
did not
question
answer.
there.
You did not answer. It is a doubt. You guys
Answer
are
what?
I ask you, what is the
just listen to
deterrence?
David ask you a question. What is the answer to David's
No,
question?
before that, I ask you, what is the deterrence for murdering children in Christianity? What is the deterrence? You don't have any answer.
Okay.
You keep laughing.
What is the deterrence for what? Sorry, for killing children.
What is the deterrence?
Yeah,
killing children.
For killing children.
Like
Okay, Matthew 18:6.
the abortion.
Christ particularly talks
abortion.
about child abuse, and he says it's wrong.
No,
there
what
we
is
go.
the
I'm just
deterrence?
giving
What
you
is the
an answer.
punishment?
Now I've answered
What
your
is the
question.
punishment?
Answer
What
David's.
is the
No, I
punishment?
just answered your question. Can you answer David's now?
Okay.
Okay, can you go to
Answer
that
David.
verse? Can you go to that
Faisal.
verse? No, give me a fully answer, Chris.
Faisal.
Don't jump. Okay.
I just
Faisal.
quoted you
Give me
scripture,
the
and
verse,
now I want
Dawood.
you to give me an answer.
Faisal, you've given me no answer to any of my questions. You've just tried to justify nonsense, and you're doing a horrible job, and you're embarrassing Mansur. Faisal, I will answer this one question for you, and then I'm going to press you to give me an answer. If you don't do it, Faisal, I'm going to keep pressing you until you either run away or give me an answer. Faisal, the answer to your question, the question to any sin that you can commit within the religion of Christianity, you will face the judgment of God. It is that simple. That is the ultimate deterrent. Now, Faisal.
Where's the Bible verse?
Faisal.
Can you show me the Bible verse?
Show
You
me.
have to show the evidence.
Faisal, in Revelations 22:12, Jesus says that, behold, I am coming fast to give to every man according to what they have done. So therefore, if every man and woman is being judged according to what they have done, and murder is wrong, and the didache from the first century tells you that abortion is wrong, therefore, Faisal, whether you get punished in this life or the next, you will be judged for what you have done. Now, Faisal, 60 children a day are dying in Burkina Faso. Can you explain to me which tradition allows for this when I showed you that Burkina Faso is mostly mu'minuns? Can you, at least 70% mu'minun? Can you please tell me, Faisal, if you are saying that Mansur is correct, how do you account for this?
Okay, can you give me that verse that you have Revelation?
Faisal,
I can go and check.
You can go back and watch the video later. I gave you an answer. It is not my fault you weren't listening. Don't forget, you wanted an answer. You didn't want me to spoon feed you an answer and make sure you heard it. You just wanted one. So when I was giving you one, you should have listened.
No.
If you didn't listen, that's your own fault. Now answer the question.
No, this is the case. Okay, you simply give a random answer. That is not an answer at all. You
Faisal, answer the question.
Skip the answer.
To a question, and we've been waiting.
Answer the question.
If you don't answer, I'm going to kick you, and I'm just going to say you're unable to answer.
Because we want others to engage, Faisal. You're wasting your time, and Mansur isn't proud of you. Help him.
This is the case. You don't give an answer. You simply skip my
He
answer.
did give you an answer. He quoted scripture, and now we've moved on. So answer this question. It's a simple question.
Okay, can you show me the verse? Because I don't. How do I know whether the verse is right or wrong?
Answer the question. You are here to defend the idea that Christianity is the suckling baby boy girl killing religion. Explain to me then why this only occurs in countries where you have majority Islamic populations. Explain that to me.
Okay. First of all, you gave an answer.
Faisal,
Can't you
are
open the
here
verse?
to answer or defend Mansur. You asked a question that had no bearing on the conversation. Chris gave you an answer. I gave you an answer. You are the one who isn't listening to the answer. That's not our fault. That's completely yours. So you are at fault here. Now, answer our
Yeah,
question,
okay.
and we will listen intently for your answer and not ask you to repeat it because we are listening.
No, thing is, you can show the verse in the screen. You don't like to do that because you
Faisal,
simply said
this
something.
is your
We've
last
moved on,
time.
Faisal. Last
Why
chance.
is this only occurring in countries with majority mu'minun populations if you claim that what Mansur said is correct and Christians are the ones who supposedly kill babies, suckling infants, boys, girls, X, Y, and Z?
Okay. First of all, okay, you can simply First of all, this
One
child marriage,
chance.
even this happening.
One chance. Okay, wait. This actually looks like you might answer.
Okay. The problem is, okay. First of all, you can simply show that verse in the screen, but you don't like to do that. Okay, that means you don't have an answer. You simply
Okay, no
skip the
sense.
answer.
No,
Okay.
come on. Get to your point.
Okay, but when it comes to this child marriage, this is even not in Islam. This is even available within Christianity too. Okay, you are doing the same thing. So you are accusing me, but you don't have an answer for
Wait.
you.
I understand the wisdom of what he's saying. He's saying that just like you can condemn Islam and condemn Muhammad as someone who encouraged the killing of suckling infants, it's okay though because Christianity also does it. What an enlightened answer! And by doing so, Fazil, you've just admitted that yes, Islam does permit that children are going to die as a consequence of child marriage. Thank you for doing that.
Crazy.
No. I didn't say that. I did not say that. First of all, okay.
I'm gonna tell Mansour that you did a good job. God bless you. And go back and watch the video, okay? Have a nice day.
Take care, Faisal. Just so you know, I have kicked him because
that's fine. That's fine.
He's being annoying at the end there. But
that's not a problem. So number one, he was unwilling to interact. He said Mansur was absolutely correct, but then when faced with the reality of how in his tradition allows for the treatment of children, suckling babies, infants, boys, girls, whether born or still in the womb, he is unwilling to back up why that's even allowed. Fair enough. Faisal, you tried. But I'll be honest, there's nothing here to defend. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah. It's a difficult thing to defend that. And
Faisal and don't like him. Sorry. There's nothing here.
Yeah. Question is, though, would Mansur have done any better? You know? I'm not convinced he would have.
I think Mansur is his teacher. And Mansur, like the rest of the Dawagandists, all they teach is obfuscation. How can I get away from this without having to condemn my religion? Well, you guys do it too.
Which, of course, is just admitting that, yes, this is a real thing in our religion. But it's okay because other reasons.
Yeah. And I found it funny how he called us atheists earlier because we were espousing ethics regarding the treatment of children and not marrying children who are too young, right? So therefore we're atheists. But then later on, he was like, it's a bunch of cells. Isn't that what atheists say?
I can't believe he said that. Yeah, it's a bunch of cells. Literally just went full atheist out of nowhere in order to defend Islam. That's so crazy.
Surprised he didn't call it a parasite or like a zygote.
Parasite.
So yeah, that's all the terms they use for an infant in the womb. Oh, it's a parasite. Oh, it's a zygote. Oh, it's a cells. Oh, it's not alive. Oh, it can't even think. It has no feeling. Okay, fair enough.
Right. I am gonna start wrapping up because I'm gonna probably end at about 10. We have 2 people in the backstage. I want to quickly bring them up.
But bring them both up.
Just because you guys have been patient.
Oh, it's Lily. Hey, Lily. How's it going?
Hello, Lily. How you doing?
Hello, guys. Peace be with you. It's great to see you. I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Thanks be to God. I just wanted to say to everyone, God bless. And just to let you guys know, I'm a physician, and there's a condition called the cephalopelvic disproportion. And you guys can do some research, and you can even ask ChatGPT for those who want to check me on this. It violates their principle of doing no harm, right? As long as it poses no threat of harm or possibility of harm while having intercourse with a 9-year-old. That's not true. This condition increases the younger the female is. The reason being that even though the flesh, and forgive me, I'm being as professional as I can, even though the flesh may stretch and accommodate for the male during intercourse, that does not mean that the bone is ready. And that's just out of the mere fact that at age 9, it's impossible for a female across time. Back then, while being nourished by dates and cucumbers, which is also a very important factor to determine actually later pubescence, not earlier, later, right? Because nutrition is very important. And so also the bone at 9-year-old in the pelvis is definitely not as developed as it could be to negate even the possibility of harm. So that's just a lie. Just by having intercourse with her, let's grant them that, okay, she had periods. That doesn't mean that the body is ready. So he just placed her at risk for stillbirth, which end up with the tragic death of both the baby and the mother, as well as other conditions as being sterile because of mechanical damage to the womb that is not ready. But definitely they cannot go around the bone, the pelvis, and the condition called cephalopelvic disproportion. That's just wrong. It's a lie. And anybody can do research. Yeah.
That is very interesting. I'm glad this is on the live stream, so I can go back and rewatch this and take notes, because having someone who's a physician actually explain this is really useful. And it's definitely something I want to bring up at the corner more when we talk about this, because having that kind of level of detail about what it actually does to someone who is like 9 years old and the amount of damage it can cause is important, I think.
Yeah, so I'll make sure to send your way in the back chat whenever I catch you. I'll send as much information as possible. Even if you're not able to put me on, that's fine. I'll just be dropping information in the back room. And it's great to see you, David. Thank you for meeting me that day at the park. I was just a stranger, a nobody, but I'm really glad.
No, not a problem at all, Lee, but I just want to say one thing. Well, everything you said is all great and all, but you guys do it too.
Oh, I guess
it.
Okay, slam it. You know, there's just a detail. Maybe that's just because I'm Brazilian. Who knows? Maybe a lower IQ. Who can tell? But we don't have any encouragement in our scriptures and tradition. On the quite the opposite. You can actually use the Bible to condemn anybody who does that. So they don't, and they can't, because they can't deny Muhammad and they can't deny the Quran. So, I mean, I'm sorry, but that's just anecdotal evidence. Too bad.
Exactly. You hit the nail on the head there.
And I'm glad that you mentioned, you also mentioned the fallouts from the not so much a condition, but the fallouts from effectively having intercourse with a person who's that young. One of them you mentioned was infertility. And that's always something that I talk about, because I find it odd how somehow the entire time that Aisha is said to have been with Muhammad, she never had children. Now, I doubt he was using contraception or whatever, or the rhythm method, or whatever you want to call it. But I'm pretty sure he damaged her ability to have children.
That's quite likely. Yes, it's one of the very known undesirable outcomes of mechanically putting a body who's not ready into that type of a situation. Yeah, sadly.
Very, very sad and very, very disturbing to think about. Chonky, are you there? I'll give you an opportunity just to say hi if you are there and want to say hi.
Yeah, hello guys. Can you hear me?
Yes,
howdy.
can do.
Yeah.
How you doing?
I'm great. I've posted 2 links on the private chat. I don't know whether you are monitoring
I can see them, yeah.
Would you like to talk about this? I mean, are you familiar with this text at all? I mean, have you come across?
I'm looking at it now.
Is it something that you find interesting? Because I find it very interesting.
Nice. Well, I am just about to wrap up, unfortunately, so I won't be able to talk about these things on this live stream.
Okay,
but I can definitely have a look at this.
Maybe next time. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just going to make a copy of these so I have reference to them.
Excellent. Thank you for your service, guys.
Oh, thank you very much.
We
greatly
try.
appreciate it. And speaking of which, I want to very quickly give a shout out to some people who left super chats.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I always forget super chats, and then I remember near the end, and I'm like, oh, I've got to give a shout out.
They paid their jizya.
They paid the jizya, yeah.
Have a good night, everyone. Have a good night. Thank you.
You too.
Donkey, thank you for the resources. I'll look at them, and I'll
at
use them and credit you. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, God bless. So we have Mr. Tree, who says, there is no baby killing in Islam because baby girls are already grown women, ready for hijab and marriage, alhamdulillah. Yep, there's a lot that can be said about that, Mr. Tree. Thank you very much for your donation. It is greatly appreciated. We have SKM1, who says, God bless you. Thank you very much for your donation. We have Inquisitive Mind, a good friend of the channel, who said, Hamza, Mansur, and Farid cannot handle Warrior Chris. Well, thank you very much for calling me a warrior. I appreciate that. It is amazing how much these guys will run away from not just me, but from David Ibn Dawood and from pretty much any member of the Christian debate team. There is no one these guys will debate anymore. Absolutely no one. And it's been this way for at least 2-3 years now. And it's becoming more and more obvious when more people go to places like Speaker's Corner or just become YouTube creators, and they make lots of videos where they address this kind of content, and Muslims just avoid them like the plague because they cannot deal with these arguments. There is no answer.
That's even the case for first timers like me. I went there once. I was with David. We made an argument first, and then they had no response. It's like dispelling. They just scattered. And then we went to the sheikh, and all he did was ignore me and dismiss me by pointing to the fact that I'm a female. And also he made an argument that you guys can check that somebody smelled of cow manure, which is a high tier, type of argument. They also made threats to me. I had to, they came to me and said, just wait until you're out of the park. We're going to get you. And I had to have a brother escort me back to my place. And then I had to move my location where I was going to stay. And I was there for one time. So, and then just after I had, let's say, beaten them in one argument with David about the presence of Greek language in the Quran, they already started avoiding me and threatening me. So yes, what these brothers are saying is real. Just don't, like, if you want to go there, just make sure that you don't feed them with content. So just, it's a battleground. Just get close to somebody who you often see in the park and let them, like, just help them get into conversations, because that's how Christians can go there and help without giving them material based off their, the occasional ignorance on behalf of Christians. And then that's how we can invite the experienced debaters into the conversations, because they'll talk to newcomers who they haven't seen. And we can, if we allow for the participation of other people in the conversation, then I mean they have to take it. And so that's something we can do and help them, instead of trying to go there and stomp them ourselves. No, brothers and sisters, we have people who are well versed, very knowledgeable, and they're the ones who are often there. So let them be in the spotlight. Let us help them bring the conversation home by addressing these Dawah dashers, and then having these more experienced debaters such as Chris and Bob and David and Sig and Thomas and young Bob and all the brothers who are well versed. Let them do their thing. We can help that way. Sorry.
Lily, I just want to say thank you for saying that. I'm really grateful that you said this, because it is sometimes the case that we do see people come to Speaker's Corner and think that they can just be a one-man island and just take on every Dawah guy alone. And often they'll do it without any cameras. So even if they do very well, it's never going to be captured. No one really is going to see it. And all of the Dawah cameras will simply edit and make a propaganda version of what happened for their own Muslim audiences. So I think you're right. Being able to have people that can support, but also say, hey, I can have a dialogue with these people because they don't know who I am. And I can invite someone who knows their stuff to enter the conversation. And that is an amazing opportunity for us to get into the conversation. And they have no excuse. They have to address what we're saying because we've been invited into the conversation. And at that point, they run and it becomes obvious they don't have any answers. So thank you for saying that, Lily. That's really important, I think.
I appreciate you guys. I just want to help. God bless you. You guys are always in my prayers. And anything I can do, just let me know. Send information my way. And I'll do what I can. Yeah, God bless you guys.
God bless you too. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And one last thing from Inquisitive Mind. He said, get Hamza on and he will be a coward and run away. Hamza won't be a coward and run away. He'll be a coward that will never turn up to begin with. Hamza is at his hijab shop, and that's where his safe space is. He won't come out of his safe space, and the closest he will do is he will run his Hamza's Den live streams from his hijab shop, and that's it. If I wanted to debate Hamza, I would have to go to the hijab shop, in all honesty. And if I did that, I have a funny feeling he wouldn't like it. So, out of niceness to Hamza and to spare him, I choose not to go to the hijab shop. That's my take on that. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm
he
gonna
also needs Hamza needs to get out of debt. So, in case anyone of you want to be charitable, Hamza could use your help.
Yeah, indeed. Oh yeah. Huh. Anyway, ladies and gents, thank you very much for tuning in. As expected, and if I was a gambling man, I would have put money on the fact that Mansur did not join this stream, because Mansur will not be able to deal with these objections because he knows full well there are no answers to these objections. This goes to show you the quality of Mansur and his arguments at Speaker's Corner. He cannot back them up. I would love it if you did a response video to this, Mansur. Please do. I will keep my eyes peeled for any kind of response, but I have a sneaking suspicion you won't make one. Anyway, thank you, Lily and David, and everyone who joined, including you, Fazal. Thank you for joining. It's been great having you on, and I hope this was edifying to the Christians, the Muslims, the atheists, and everyone in between who was watching. So thank you all. God bless, and I will see you all in the next one.
And the last thing I'll say right quickly is, Mansur, you made a mistake now because you've given me a reason to research a topic. And when I do that, Mansour, I come back to ask you with some receipts.
He's
So
got-
please
he's got all
keep
the
giving me new reasons to research topics. That's all.
Awesome stuff. All right. God bless, guys. Take care.
Bye.